You're naked. Come here. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. Show everybody how naked you are. Come on. You're a naked dog. You are a naked dog. Yes, you are. You get all the scratches because you're just so naked, aren't you? All right, come on. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. You always want more scratches. I can give you more scratches. I can give you more scratches. Yes. Oh. All right, come on. Yeah, you got it. You got it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. There we go. All right. Yeah, look at that fur come off of you. Oh my, I've never seen fur come off like this before. But then again, you know, it is what it is. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Monkey Butt here. So she's a catahoulist. She has what's called a wash and wear coat, which means she doesn't get stinky. So she's not a stinky dog in any way, shape, or form. And she just had her first bath since October of last year. She's actually very silky smooth. And like she's just shed more fur than I've ever seen her shed in her entire life. But yeah, she got the collar still drying. I washed that because it was kind of gross. I put a new bandana on her, right, buddy. And you gotta scratch the neck right where that collar was. Oh, that's the spot you can't get. Oh, good. Make it feel so good, right? Whew. Is that the good stuff? Is that the good stuff? Yeah. All right, huh? Look of like, do it again. Anyway, so the Epstein victims and survivors met in a closed door session yesterday, and the folks who were there were visibly upset over the testimony that they heard. There's now a discharge petition going around the House that needs 218 signatures. They have 216? So they need 2 more in order to get the House to release the entirety of the Epstein files. Basically only redacting the names of victims. The victims themselves, through a spokesperson, there's over 100 of them, have stated they're going to create their own Epstein client list. Basically naming everyone that they saw or did things to them, putting on a list and just submitting that. When asked, all the victims were asked if the DOJ had ever talked to them before getting Maxwell to that minimum security prison. They all said no. The DOJ has not spoken to a single victim so far. The White House has threatened political repercussions for any Republican who signs that discharge petition, saying it's an insult and affront to the White House and the president. That's only the case if you're in the thing, man. Like, the only people who will fight really hard to protect the names on that list are the people on that list. Period. That's it. So, why else would you be doing that? Other news, President Xi had basically all the most evil people in the world come hang out in China. Hot Mike was talking with Putin about being 70 years old, and that's just a child these days because with all our medical technology, he'll live to 150 and continue to rule Russia forever. So that's awesome. GameStop got pushed right back down today. Anything else, buddy? Anything else there? Oh, you're so silky smooth. I got nothing. So I'm gonna hit the button and we're gonna do button pushing. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boink. All right, who's first? Kelly Reed is first. Darren Martinez, meow, first. Second, ha. Kelly Reed, happy birthday, HW. Chief financial economist now issue warning to expect recession by end of year. Going to be a brutal global crash. Houston, what's your thoughts and how bad will this be for people not holding GME or haven't diversified? UBS just said there's a 93% chance that the United States will suffer a recession before the end of the year. I think a lot of it is going to hit October-ish. Traditionally, recessions come in the fall. And those come as construction slows down and construction workers, when projects are finished and no new projects are signed up.
Right now, we're seeing the largest number of folks leaving the construction industry since 2008, 2009. Commercial mortgage-backed securities are at their highest delinquencies ever. Home mortgages are not at their highest ever. They're about 75% of the way to their peaks and during the global financial crisis. Manufacturing is collapsing. Tourism is down. The ag sector, I mean, in Florida, they're just bulldozing tomatoes because there's no one to pick them. And tomato prices have totally collapsed because there's no export market for them anymore. And so basically, we're just killing off our ag sector, and we're imprisoning all the workers. A demographic report came out, said that by 2030, the United States will have a declining population. This is largely because we don't have the birth rate to sustain a population, and we're so xenophobic that we're kicking all of the immigrants out who bolster our population. So you will get a stagnant or, contracting economy if your population declines. And you don't have, the massive resources to make up for it. We just don't. So, bonds, the 30-year crossed 5% last night. No one wants our bonds. The U.S. dollar's lost 15% since January. Yeah, it's not boding well. We're definitely headed towards something. There's a lot of really great Q2 reports coming out for a lot of companies right now. And every single one of those reports are like, this isn't actually how well the company's doing. Because basically they had really terrible Q1 reports because they had to spend so much money trying to import as much as they could to fill their warehouses before tariffs came into place that their warehouses were full. They didn't order anything during Q2. So their expenditures were meager during Q2. So it looks like they just did gangbusters in business. American Eagle Outfitters today had a really positive Q2, and everyone's like, it's a Sydney Sweeney effect. But the Sydney Sweeney ad campaign didn't happen until after Q2 finished. Q2 did really well because American Eagle filled their warehouses from all of their little sweatshops all over the world and brought everything in and stored it and just all they did was sell stuff during Q2 because they weren't importing anything. So they had no money going out. And this is basically what every retailer is saying. Amazon said the same thing. Amazon said, our Q2 looks really good, but it is not. It is foreboding. It's because we spent all this money importing stuff to avoid tariffs in Q1, filled our warehouses, and now we got to buy stuff again with the tariffs. And so our expenditures are going to go through the roof. And this is it. This is our reality. So construction's slowing down. A lot of houses in the market, home prices dropping, food prices generally going through the roof, ag sector collapsing, manufacturing being lost, exports are gone, no one wants our bonds, commercial real estate sucks, we have a crazy person running everything and trying to take control of the Fed to drop rates for no reason. Anything else you want to add on that, monkey? Fires, bird flu, you name it. It's all coming. So yeah, I'm not optimistic in any way, shape, or form. The best thing we could probably get is Supreme Court to rule that the tariffs are illegal, and so we just don't have to think about that anymore. But that wouldn't stop Trump from trying to codify them into law via Congress and strong arming Congress to do that. I just hope the members of Congress aren't that stupid, but they're pretty dumb. If you're considering that there's only 4 Republicans who have signed the discharge petition to release the Epstein files, tells me that there's 212 morons in there. So, Chris Taylor says hi there. Darren Martinez, economics question for you. With increasing EV vehicle adoption, will gas prices continue to rise due to less demand? So when the sale is made, it must be higher to offset decreasing volume. I don't understand why gas prices are still basically the same way they were 2 years ago when oil prices were insane. Or 2.5 years ago, I guess. I mean, it's 3 years ago, 2022, 3 years ago. Remember when Russia invaded Ukraine and oil went above $120 a barrel? Oil's at like $70 a barrel now, but gas at the pump is almost the same price. So, like, gas prices don't mean shit to supply and demand because there's only a few companies that rule that stuff anymore. 25 years ago, you had independently owned gas stations all over the place. You had independent distributors, and you had refineries that are independently owned everywhere. In states like Georgia in year 2000 had the lowest gas prices around because they had over 1,000 fuel distributors competing with each other, right? So you had 1,000 different fuel distributors in the one little state. And so if you are a gas station owner, you'd be like, okay, well, who's got the cheapest gas? You? Bring it. That guy gets my business. So there's massive competition. All of that has been consolidated since then. You know, most of ExxonMobil stations are owned by ExxonMobil. And ExxonMobil owns the ships. They own the refineries. They own the oil fields. They're not out on an open market buying fuel. They own it. They just suck it out of the ground at cost, put it on a ship at cost, refine it at cost, and then they sell it at their station for a massively inflated price. So, you know, if your stations all over the place are all owned by 2 or 3 companies, you don't have the same competition. My little community of 25,000 people, when I was a kid, we had, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gas stations. And we had 5,000 people. We have 25,000 people now, and we've got 2. So the competition is just gone. Just straight up gone. There's no one competing with anybody anymore. And those 2 gas stations, I think, are one's a Chevron, one's a Texaco, which means they're the same company because Chevron and Texaco own each other. So, well, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that? So, yeah. Fuel doesn't just go to cars and trucks and jets and things like that. About 15 to 20% of all the fuel consumed goes into agriculture. That means it goes into the fuel to harvest things, but also oil makes herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers. And so huge amounts of oil goes into the food we eat. As long as we're eating food, well, there's a huge consumer market for it. Plus, you can think of all the fuel that goes into plastics, which also ends up in our balls. There's a huge amount of fuel that goes into plastics. I mean, everything around me, like headphones, plastic. Most of my phone, plastic. The computer monitors, even the screens, plastic. The little ring light and the camera and the microphone stand and, you know, the 3-prong plug thingy and the lens cap for the camera and my mouse and the mouse pad and the keyboard and it's all plastic. Everything is freaking plastic. So, you know, we're using that for everything. When people talk about like, oh, we're in the information age or we're in the AI age, no, we are in the plastics age. We went from the Stone Age to the Bronze Age to the Iron Age. And I consider the Industrial Age part of the Iron Age because we learned how to make steel and things. And then now we're in the plastics age. That's what allows everything to continue. Right, buddy? Right? You little hoo-ha licker? Like, there's hundreds of people watching right now, and you're just there going to town on yourself. How disgusting. How disgusting are you, you dog? Yeah, scratch that neck again. Go off into outer space. Oh, yeah. Okay. But yeah. So... Super chats. Julius, you forgot to add Florida set to end all state vaccine mandates. Woohoo! Oh yeah, Florida, just the dumbest. As someone pointed out, you better bet that DeSantis's 3 kids are all vaccinated. 100%. Every single one of them are vaccinated. So it's all the rich people would tell you, like, you don't need college. You can just go learn a trade. You know what they're doing? They're sending their kids to college. Every single one of them. Like, It's not. It's obvious. They don't want you to send your kids to college because they don't want their kids to rub elbows with dirty plebes, peasants like you. They want to go network with their other rich little buddies, and that's to them. That's all that should be allowed. So they don't want you to get vaccinated so that you get crippled and die, and your kids, dirty, gross kids, can not go to college and live in an iron lung or whatever. And that's it. That's the MO, is that they get it. You don't deserve it because you're just sloppy trash who, Ron DeSantis gets to go to Yale, but you send your kids to the morgue. So there's Florida for you. So yeah. Jose Rosario. When are we going back to 4,800 on SPX or more ups? That's a good question. Right now, banks are hiding a lot of their losses. They're considering them unrealized losses. They aren't really counting them. They're still pretending like a lot of these bonds they hold are good, and they're not. It's very obvious that their depositors don't have any money left, and what money they do have is lost in a lot of these bonds. And there's current lobbying effort going through Congress to allow banks to hide these losses in perpetuity, which I'm not sure how that works. Like, if you're a bank and you don't have any more money, how are you going to hide that? Like, well, business as usual. Can I have my withdrawal? No. Like, I don't know how you necessarily hide that. So yeah, I don't know when. I mean, if the Supreme Court throws out the tariffs, we'll probably have a woohoo time, and I don't know how long that will last for. Because remember, the goodwill, the international goodwill is gone. We no longer have USAID, so we aren't going around the world like spreading Americanism and freedom and helping people out. We now have hundreds of thousands of children being born with AIDS when they had things in place through USAID that allowed the children to be born without AIDS in AIDS-infected countries. Our cash isn't going out there anymore, so people aren't using that cash to purchase American goods. And when people want to buy goods, they're just not buying American goods because they're all pissed off at us. I really don't know when the comeuppance comes. Say what you will about the Biden administration, they managed to keep that thing somehow above water the entire time, even though the outlook was really, really bad for most stuff. Now we have, for the first time since before COVID, less job openings than people looking for work. So the job market's about to get squeezed, which means wages aren't going up at all in a time of inflation. The Oracle just did massive layoffs of really highly technical skilled people. You're gonna boot my finger? Is that what you're gonna do? And the AI is gonna take a lot of these white collar jobs. It's not gonna do it very well. It's gonna do a really piss poor job, but it's gonna be satisfactory. You're gonna go, we'll deal with the problems of the AI being dumb as shit, but at least we don't have to pay someone to do it, right? Oh, do you need more? Is it? Do you need more? Okay. Sorry, this dog needs some scratches, so as long as she wants them, I'm going to give them to her, right? Yes. Oh. I know that collar just sits on you all the time. And you don't have a leg on this side, so you can't even get to it. So you just gotta do the thing. Yeah? Does that work? Is that good? Is that good? Yeah. Okay. Alright. Okay. Still looking longingly. Oh, you need more? How about scratch your butt? Scratch your butt right there. So it's going to come to a head at some point. And I really wish we were better at predicting that so I could make a fortune off of it when it all collapses. Right, buddy? You just keep poking your nose right on my hand. Snurler says, oi. Carolina. Repeat after me, Houston. BBYQ is dead. We lost. It sure feels that way, doesn't it? No. Until the company is absolutely just gone, right? They're not dead. Class 6 payments haven't even happened yet. No, you can't say it's dead yet. I do think that IRS document, which had the name 2023-0930, is related to BBBYQ. I do think that. I think that document being released that day is the entire reason why they pulled the stock that day. That's what I think. So we sit, we wait, twiddle thumbs, stroke chins, scratch dog heads, right? Dog head, she just can't get enough. She just can't get enough. There's so much scratching, right? So much scratching, little dog. Oh boy. Is that good? All right. Okay. Now you're looking up at the treats. You want one? Shall we do it? Shall we do it? Shall we give you one? Look at that. That's all that's left. So close to being done. Oh, that one. Right there. Yeah? Okay. Well, up there. Okay. Running well. Sup, BBY. Waiting. GDC. HW. Happy birthday, HW. Been a while. Nothing personal, just life got in the way. Does RC still have guts to push the button? Or did his chewy money make him soft? He's no longer the same guy who took on Amazon. He's got to do something. You don't get to be a Warren Buffett unless you make your shareholders happy. And right now, the sentiment I have from people, from viewers like you, from folks who message me, from the folks I see online, that I've seen online talking about GME from day one, is he's got to do something. He's got to do something big, something bold that gives us lasting wealth. And so far, his actions have not changed the stock price in any way, shape, or form. Stock price has gone down. He's got a lot of cash on hand. Good for him, right? But that has not been realized for the shareholders yet. And he's all about, as he says, generating value for shareholders. And it hasn't happened yet. Where's our value? We need our value. And if he can do all the things to generate a whole bunch of cash for the company and expand to other markets and do all these other things, and the value never comes from the shareholders, then it's no different than doing nothing at all. So if all that stuff doesn't work, then he's got to go for a way to destroy the shorts actively. Overstock did it with T0. Simple. Make a coin. I can go on GitHub and I can make a coin right now. Heck, he can have my Problemo coins. So there's only 100 million of them, so we have to make some new ones to make enough for each shareholder. But anyway, just distribute a digital dividend to everybody. It's that simple. Digital dividend that can't be tampered with. It can't be counterfeited. And you put the squeeze on them. It's that simple. So do that. Ta-da! Done. Cha. So. Meh. Right, monkey? Meh. 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 All right. Kelly Reed. G says, world faces peace or war as Vladimir Kim join him for military parade. Well, times World War III is going to be hiring a bunch of gamers to control drones. Yep. It's going to be just basically robots fighting robots are going to be the wars of the future. Or robots fighting robots and other robots committing war crimes. That's going to be it. And it'll be so heinous, someone will just drop a bomb. Hrunk. And take out like entire regions. And it'll be bad. So, yeah. And yeah, outside it's a really lovely day. Family's coming over in a little bit. We're gonna barbecue. Might as well enjoy what you have while you have it, because the future's kind of bleak, right? Right, monkey. I mean, sometimes you have got 4 legs, and one day you wake up you got 3. That's just the way it goes, man. Seagill, 12th. Jimmy going the wrong way. Have more money clearing this week to load up. I really wish like it dropped pretty hard today, and and volatility went up. So applied volatility for next week is now 90%. So it went from like 35% to 90% this week. Remember last... Oh, wait. Oh, before I do anything, I turn the intro off. Oh, there we go. Intro's off. All right. Last week, on Friday, right, you went $2 above the current price. So 23, 23.5, 24, 24.5. Right here, but these are 86 cents. These were 11 cents last Friday. 11 cents. So implied volatility is basically double what it was last Friday at this moment. If the price kind of stays steady at 22.88, which is where it was basically all last week, hopefully that implied volatility will drop a little bit, and I will be able to buy a boatload of these 24.5s. I would like an absolute just shit ton of them. But coming into reporting, implied volatility always just starts to spike as people start to load up into that moment. So it's still fairly cheap, just not as cheap as I wish it would be for next week. So we'll see what happens by Friday. We got 2 more trading days for it to hopefully just maintain before going into next week. Here's hoping. Cross some fingers. Boop. Gotta read. Anyone see GME Y ETF getting released next week to focus on GME covered calls? When the leverage tries to get leverage, which impedes leverage, then there's no leverage in this. When the leverage tries to get leverage, which impedes leverage, then there's no leverage in the system. Totally. Cover calls with no shares. Laugh my ass off. Yeah, pretty much. They don't have any shares in their system. Jimmy D. Someone yesterday asked about good historical fiction. The Saxon Stories, Last Kingdom books was very fun. 13-book collection about early medieval England. Ah, nice. I read a book, I think it was just called The 13th Century. And I read it probably in high school. It was like this thick. And it was all about just the brutality that was medieval Europe in the 13th century. Big ass wars, conquests, incest, Habsburgs, you name it. And when I saw Game of Thrones before I ever read any of the Songs of Fire and Ice books, and when I saw Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, this is just basically historical fiction of the 13th century Europe, but with dragons. And that's basically it. Like the incest, the infighting, the backstabbing, the muddy, gross people, like peasantry. That's all it is. And then I read an interview with George R. R. Martin, and then he was like, yeah, just basically wanted to make a fantasy novel based in like 13th century Europe. And he did it very successfully. Like people was like, why are all that incest? Dude, look at your family history. Go back in your family tree. If you're European especially, go back in your family tree and you get back, a couple hundred years, the family tree, after branching out, starts to be a stick. It just does that every once in a while. There's way more incest in people's past than you will probably ever want to acknowledge or realize. It's just the way it was. Like, 4 families in a community and they're all related to each other, and where are you going to find a bride? Well, she's my cousin. I guess that's as far away as I can get. And that's just kind of how it went for a lot of communities for a long time. It really wasn't until modernization, when people started to travel and get around, did our genes really start to mix and have some good benefits for a lot of folks. I mean, if you think about it, 13th century was basically everyone was drunk, disgusting, full of disease, and boning their family. And that was medieval Europe for a long time. It wasn't until coffee and tea came around people finally sobered up and went, whoa, fuck, shouldn't have been doing that. So, yeah. I'll check those out. Saxon? What was it called? Saxon Stories, Last Kingdom books. Okay. Saxon Stories, Last Kingdom books. And Jimmy DL says, also Strategos, a 3-book series by Gordon Doherty on decline of Byzantines by the Arab conquest. Very interesting perspective. All right. Excellent. I'm fascinated with Arab conquest. I took a history of the Middle East course when I was in college, and just the caliphate in general was just so fascinating. And you know, speaking of 12th century, 13th century, you read about the Crusaders, and the Crusaders would like come storming into the Holy Land, and the Arabs just talked about how much they smelled. Just they smelled so terrible. And when they would commit atrocities, you know, Saladin, who was the head in Damascus during that time, there was this brutal, just basically war crime by the Crusaders, and just slaughtered everyone in Jerusalem. And the Arabs wanted blood. They wanted revenge so bad. And Saladin was like, brothers, we're going to wash the entire city with rose water and cleanse this of this horrific thing. And at the end of that, if you still want your revenge, you get revenge. And Saladin did it for 2 reasons. One, to calm everyone down. And 2, he actually gave the chance for the Crusaders to get the fuck out of there before the Arab hordes basically just tore them to shreds. And to this day, you'll find cities throughout, you know, France, Spain, they'll have statues to Saladin because him forcing them to wash Jerusalem with rose water saved the lives of basically all the Crusaders. That the only reason they're alive today is because of him, and they recognize that. No, it's really fascinating. It's fascinating to read not only the history of like the conquests of Arabs through North Africa, parts of Europe, the Arabian Peninsula, etc., but also like when they came up against an even greater force like the Khans. You know, you had these disparate societies that all made up the caliphate, right? You had Turkmens, you had Syrians and Arabs and Berbers and Bedouins and whatnot, and they're all part of this giant empire. And you know, in Turkey you had this warrior culture called the Mamluks, and the Mamluks were basically boys. Some of them may have been sold into the military. Some of them may have been like, just take my son as taxes or whatever. And they were raised to be these like berserker army freaks. And they were sort of like the mercenaries you call up if you really need help. And there's hundreds of thousands of them. And they would get stationed all over the caliphate. And when Kublai Khan, I think it was Kublai Khan, came into like the Fertile Crescent in Iraq, they had just been like just laying waste, absolutely just laying waste to everybody. And he went in and he sent his emissaries to Baghdad. He's like, hey, Baghdad, we're the Mongols. We fucked up shit for like several million square miles. And so what you're going to do is you're going to lay down your arms. And you're going to lay down your arms and you're going to pledge fealty to the Khans. If you don't, we will kill every man, woman, child, animal in your entire city. And in Baghdad, you know, this beautiful city, huge libraries, you know, they've been under the caliphate for hundreds of years. They were like, oh, you horse people. Oh, you dirty, smelly horse people. We're civilized. We don't need to deal with this. They just ignored it. And Kublai Khan sent another letter, said, hey man, if you ignore me, then we shall see what God hath willed. And the Baghdadis were like, oh, silly people. And the next day, the Khans came in, killed every man, woman, child, cat, dog, mouse, rat, camel, horse, goat, sheep, and stacked all of their skulls into a pyramid that was taller than any building in the city. We're talking 1.6 million skulls of humans, animal, all stacked into a pyramid. And the rest of the caliphate went, oh, fuck. Because Baghdad was gone. It was empty of people. They no longer existed. Every soul was murdered by the Khans at that point. And the next step was like, all right, Cairo. And they sent the letter off to Cairo. And the caliphate, the representative of Cairo were like, fuck. And so 200,000 Mamluks went from Istanbul in Turkey down into defend Cairo. And the Mongol hordes were amassing. There was only about 20,000 in the Mongol hordes when they got there because Kublai Khan, Genghis died, and a whole bunch of like his nephews and sons and whatnot all went roaring back to Mongolia to try and claim the throne, and they took a whole bunch of their army with them. And so it was like 20,000 Mongols against 200,000 Mamluks, and the Mongols almost took Cairo at that point. Like, so close to taking Cairo, being outnumbered 10-1. If Kublai Khan had just never left and like kept his army there, everyone in North Africa would have the last name Khan at this point. There's a reason why 200 million people today have the last name Khan and can trace their lineage directly back to Genghis Khan himself. It's because they took over so much of the world. But yeah, anyway, it's all fascinating. Like the reason why Europe didn't follow the Khans is the same reason. They made it all the way to Poland and Genghis died. And so everyone went roaring back to go claim the throne. And the reason why Poland doesn't have everyone named Khan today and, you know, with like rich olive colored skin is the result of that historical event. If Genghis had held out for another month or so before he died, half of Eastern Europe would have been controlled by the Khans. North Africa had been controlled by the Khans. It would have been pretty phenomenal. So, yeah, history, man. History's crazy. And Jimmy D also says, I just started reading the Chronicles of Brother Cafdel about a Welsh monk that solves medieval murder mysteries. Enjoying so far. I like that. I like that little genre buster. Yeah. It's better than like, my mom loves murder mystery books, but every single murder mystery book she reads is just a different lady writing about a woman and her cats who solve murder mysteries together. And this just seems like the same book over and over again. It's like 20 different authors. They all have cats that solve murder mysteries for them. Danny Moat Houston loaded up on GME calls today at that big dip. Good job. Coder K, last. SS Leia, last after last person. Jiminius H, Mace from South Carolina out there making headlines. My granduncle came back from Vietnam and he never would have willingly done things to trigger his PTSD. Feels so much like performance on her part. Yeah, I mean, she left the closed door hearing crying, like red in the face, refusing to talk to anybody. She wrote about how she had a panic attack listening to those things, and she's a survivor of sexual assault. Half of women are, at least, but yet, and she signed for the petition for release. And yet she's out there also like, there's no way Donald Trump would ever be in the Epstein files. And she's just kind of, she's doing what someone who has signs of like borderline personality would do. Meaning she's putting Trump up on this pedestal as if he's infallible and perfect and godlike. And that there's no way that man would have anything to do with people who would hurt her. Right? And the danger of that is eventually he's going to fail you. He already has failed her. She's just sort of ignoring it at this point. You know, she's like, oh, Trump helped get Epstein in prison. No, he didn't. You know, Trump kicked out Epstein when he learned about what he did to girls. No, he didn't. Trump didn't kick Epstein out. Epstein's the one who cut off ties with Trump over a real estate deal. The timeline of Trump saying, oh, no, I found out what he was doing with girls and I kicked him out. No, the fuck you didn't. You guys were boning kids together for a long time. It was over money. That's what broke up that relationship, was money. Not the rape of children, not the sexual assaults, nothing else, not the trafficking. Trump was trafficking kids through his Trump models. They literally were taking underage girls from Europe and bringing them to the United States and just pimping them out as if they were models. They're models who happen to only model with older men at parties. That's how they work. They all have these little modeling agencies. At this point, I would never trust a dude who owns a modeling agency. It's like, I don't know. A sociopath in a candy store or something. It doesn't make any sense, right, buddy? Right? Oh, you're just such a dog. Yes, you are. Oh, you're so soft and squishy. So yeah, she's going to I think for her own ego, like the ego death of putting your entire identity into somebody and then realizing that somebody is a garbage person. A lot of folks mentally can't survive that. They just can't. So, you know, if the Epstein petition gets released and these victims, they put their names out there and say that person did this, that person did that, and Trump is in it all, which he is, I don't know what Nancy Mason's excuses are going to be. Like, being a co-conspirator who has turned state's evidence does not make you the good guy. Right? You still committed the crimes of the person. You're just getting either immunity, reduced sentence, etc. for turning on your friends. Doesn't mean you didn't do those things. That weirdo guy here in my town, I was telling a story about last week, Gary Tripp. He moved heavyweight drugs. We're talking like kilos of heroin and cocaine and lots of much cash. When he got busted, he got a lenient sentence because he's turned state's evidence against all of his friends. It did not mean he did not do those things. He did those things. Yes, his name is in those documents because he did those things. And that's why he knew who to pinpoint and who to finger, right? Same thing with Trump. Trump was involved in all that stuff. He knew exactly what was going on. That's why he was able to turn state's evidence. If he did, right? So it doesn't mean he didn't do those things. We've all watched crime thrillers and police procedurals, right? You have a target in your mind. You collect everyone beneath them. You put the squeeze on them, and then they turn state's evidence against the higher up, and that's how you do it. You pressure the small fish to get the big fish. They're bait. Oh shoot! There's a reset of the chat. There we go. Steel Horse Nomad. Xi's parade yesterday made Trump's parade look like a parade for ants. Yep. And of course, he had to rage tweet about it. Because U.S. soldiers, like, you can have the best performing military parade in the entire world, but has your military won a war? No. Matter of fact, China has done nothing but lose wars since the Second World War. The only reason China exists today is because the United States kicked the absolute shit out of Japan. So China's existence today is owed to the fact the United States military was so good at what we do. You can have them march in their orders and be like little robots out there, but if they've got really shitty equipment and corrupt generals, it's not going to do you any good. We can have a bunch of dudes walk in a parade and be like, oh, this is stupid. But at the same time, we have F-35 fighters that could just absolutely lay waste to an entire country by themselves. So, yeah. And that's... pick one. Hazel Allen. Houston. Did you see the comments on your last live after show? Someone saying they are friends at RC and we're getting nothing? I thought it was a shill. They don't know RC. Freely Wheelie. Houston. Have you ever listened to 911 call from Bainbridge Island from 1999 about Sasquatch in the backyard? It's on YouTube. No. From 99? Okay. Whoops. 21999. Okay, the story behind the 911 call. It came from a man. Backyard explains Bigfoot is black and is huge. Okay. Is this it? Why is there a hoodie thing on here? Yeah, go away. Let's get it. All right. I gotta put on, one sec, pause. I gotta make sure the sound is happening here. Speakers. Turn you on. Make sure the speakers there. Properties. Is that working? There we go. Guys, hear it?
Peter Byrne and I interviewed the man, and we got the calls from the sheriff's department, and they were about 2 weeks apart. The two different calls. The one call, the first one he made was when his dog got killed.
911, what are you reporting?
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
My dog went flying through the air over the tree. I don't know how it did it.
Okay.
Damn it, I'm really confused. All I saw was my dog coming over the fence, and he was dead when she hit the ground. I didn't see any cars. All I saw was my dog coming over the fence.
Well, I edited that. We got the Peter Byrne and I interviewed the man, and we got the calls from the sheriff's department, and I edited it down, so there's a lot of typing in between his talking and the dispatcher's talking. And they were about 2 weeks apart, the two different calls. The one call, the first one he made was when his dog got killed. He don't know how that happened because he said he'd seen it fly over the fence, and it landed, we measured it 35 feet from the fence.
Dang.
And where it went over the fence, he showed us a spot on the limb. It was like there was a tree close by, 9.5 feet up is where the dog comes sailing over. And what he said he heard was a big thump. And this was like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, something like that. He's working in his garage, and when this happened, he was very compelling, very, very believable. And he was a Vietnam vet, and he was very sober. I looked over the other side of the fence, looking to see if there's any horses or anything, sign of anything else, and couldn't find anything. Well, his dog was an older German Shepherd, a big dog, and it was his favorite dog, actually. He had two other smaller ones that used to always go out and yap and anything, but they came in and cowered down, and his German Shepherd went out, and that kind of puzzled him. Anyway, we tried to get permission from him to dig the dog up. He wouldn't allow that, and he just soon stayed out of the picture. He knows what he saw, and he knows he saw a Bigfoot, but he didn't want to say a Bigfoot to the dispatcher. They might have laughed him off and not sent anybody out. But anyway, it was very compelling, his recount of that. It's on actually on the Kitsap Peninsula, which is, I don't usually tell people that, but it doesn't really matter now. The guy doesn't live there any longer, I don't believe.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal, or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on, and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man, or something. It looks like a man. I don't know what it was, just that it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was. Whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it if I was going to chase it, but whatever it was standing up. I'm out here looking through the window now, and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
Dio!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Oh, and the guy is on foot.
I don't know what... It's a big... real big person. That's all I can say.
Okay, but it is a person.
Yeah, I'd say it was a person or somebody really big. But he's all in black.
Is he a black male or a white male? Did you actually see whether, or was he just wearing black?
He's all black and he's big. He is big.
He told us what he saw. That's what he saw, pretty much. That right there, he saw this thing looking at him. He had a car parked outside of his garage. He had these these light sensors on the outside of his garage. And he had his garage doors closed, but he had the windows in his garage door, like some of us do, let light in the daytime. And this thing that triggered the sensor light at the end of his car, which is right in front of his garage door. And he looked out there and seen the thing looking at him, and it really freaked him out. It was huge, and he didn't want to say 7 foot something because, again, it would have maybe not got the police out there or the sheriff's department out there when they need to get out there right away. Oh, he also said a car went by and almost went into the ditch and almost hit it when it ran away. It went across this old dirt road out there where he lived. Pretty wooded area. So we thought I think we ran an ad in the paper to see if anybody would respond to it, if anybody see anything strange on that road, and didn't get any replies to it.
Saying Kitsap Peninsula, I'm not saying Bainbridge.
She didn't want to say it, and he didn't want to say it.
This is what you're talking about?
I think they may have been thinking the same thing, that it was what it was.
I have a hard time believing a Bigfoot on Bainbridge. Like, there's a lot of forest here and everything. We get cougars and bears, but we see them all. We take pictures of them. We catch them. To me, even in '99, there's still. I can't imagine there's enough stuff out here for a Sasquatch to eat, and avoid all the people. Not only hang out in some guy's backyard. The black bears are here, and they've been known to fight a dog every once in a while. But the cougars are the ones you have to watch out for. Those are the ones that kill everything. They do the murdering, right, buddy? Yeah, you've not had to run in with one of those yet, but the security footage of a cougar just ripping to shreds this guy's goat from a year ago, 2 years ago. Pretty gnarly. He's a young cougar too, maybe 6 months to a year old. And the goat tried its best. It tried, I'm going to headbutt this thing, and the cougar's and just tore it apart. So, yeah. Interesting. Over on the peninsula, there's a lot more rural areas. I can't think of too many spots where there's dirt roads. There's dirt driveways, but maybe 99 there might have been more. There's been some development since then. But, I don't know. I've never seen a Bigfoot. Never seen an alien. Come on, show them to me. Right, where are we? We did that one. We did that one. Juice Mammy, I think Houston mailed out everyone's raffle winnings. I can feel it. It's still in a box in the storage, and I've not done anything about that. Moving on. Peace Tack. Hey Houston, you were mentioned you were hit by a car when you were young. How did it affect you, and did you do or take anything to help you with your head injury? All the best. No. So I had moved to Southern California. I was supposed to go to school at UC San Diego. I moved to Southern California in July and stayed at my brother's house for a little bit in San Clemente, and then moved down to San Diego. Where I was living in youth hostel while I was looking for a place to live, and I was doing tech work. I was doing like consulting jobs and whatnot. And I was actually making pretty decent money. And then I moved into a lovely little 2-bedroom house right on the beach in Mission Beach. And if you watch the last season of Veronica Mars, the house they film in, that's her house. That was my house. That was the house I lived in San Diego. 3511 Oceanfront Walk. And I remember watching that season. I was like, that's my house. That's my living room. But I was living there. I was on top of the world, man. I was 18. I was living right on the beach. I was surfing every day. I was making good money. School was about to start. I was living with 2 phenomenally gorgeous Swedish sisters. Absolutely just... you could not have asked for a better life than I was living at that point. And I had a bicycle, and I'd bicycle to the grocery store, fill my backpack, bicycle home. And I was bicycling home at some point. I had no memory of the bicycling. I only have glimpses, flashes after the accident, but I got smoked by a car at some point. And the helmet didn't do me any good, landed on my face, basically skidded to a halt on my face, and my Oakley glasses. Do I have those frames here? It might be. I think they're at my mom's house. I think they have like a little thing at my mom's house. But the anti-ballistic glasses from the Oakleys saved my eyeball because I had huge road rash on my forehead, huge road rash on my cheek, and the glasses were just scraped the heck. And that's where the head injury came from. And a lot of bleeding, just a lot of blood from the face. And my bell was rung, and I didn't quite know what was going on. I knew my address, 3511 Oceanfront Walk, and I have glimpses of like pushing the bicycle and just asking strangers like, hey, do you know where 3511 Oceanfront Walk is? And then the looks on their faces of being like, down there, not knowing what to do. And no one called an ambulance, apparently. If they did, I was gone by the time they showed up. I did find my way home. I don't remember finding my way home, but I obviously could not figure out how to get inside. Either I didn't know where my key was or whatever, and I could not get inside. And so I laid down. I basically stolen a whole bunch of towels off of the boardwalk on my way to like clean up blood and whatnot. I have no memory of doing that, but I made a nest on the patio on the deck and passed out. And I was supposed to go to dinner with a friend, and I guess she was calling the house. This is pre-cell phones. So she called the house and called the house and called the house and called the house. I didn't answer. She was like, oh, well, maybe he's asleep or whatever. So she came to the house and found me like in front of the door in just a pool of blood, and all these bloody towels. And she broke into the house and called 911 from there. And that's when the ambulance and the police came. I had no memory of getting into the ambulance. I remember being in the ambulance briefly and waking up, realizing I was in an ambulance. And you know, when like your brain isn't quite firing and like the weird things are happening and you have, you're in some sort of trauma response. I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm in an ambulance. That means I'm going to get a catheter. I don't want a catheter. I remember grabbing this EMT by the collar and pulling him down and be like, don't you dare give me a catheter. And he's like, I won't give you a catheter. And out cold. And then I woke up a second time. I don't remember which order it's in. I think the second time was inside the CAT scan machine. And so I wake up and I'm laying down. I open my eyes and there's this little tag that says something to the effect of lasers in use, keep eyes closed. And me thinking, what the fuck? And then laser, we're like, oh, I better keep my eyes closed. And I pass out again. And then the next time I woke up was there's a nurse and a doctor like over me. And I open my eyes like, oh, he's awake. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, you've been in an accident? Oh, okay. And I'm laying there and the doctor has a syringe and he gives a little squeeze, the little juice pops out the top to get the air bubbles out. I was like, hey, what you doing? And he says, oh, this is a little something to numb your chin because I got to put some stitches in there. And I was like, well, make sure it's not Novocaine or lidocaine because that doesn't work on me. He's like, oh, this will work. Stab him. Ow! And then he stitches me. Ow, ow, ow. And puts, I don't know, a half dozen stitches in my chin. He's like, you felt that? I'm like, yeah, you dick. I told you it doesn't work on me. And for the entire accident, it's the only pain I remember is when he stitched my chin. I have no pain from the road rash I had on my arm, my legs, my face. No pain from that whatsoever. No pain from having my bell rung. Because I did have a really bad concussion. I mean, it knocked me out for more or less 13 hours, I think. It came briefly consciousness here and there. No brain swelling, which was good, at least not bad enough that they had to like drill a hole in my head or anything. And by the next day, I was with it. Like I was coherent, knew where I was, knew phone numbers, dates, all that stuff. And so then I asked, like, can I be discharged? And the nurse like, oh sure, I'll go get the doctor. That's like 9 a.m. And the doctor, I sat there for 12 hours, waited for a doctor to come in to discharge me. Cost over $1,000 an hour for me to sit there and wait for the doctor. The doctor came in at 9 p.m. And he looked at my chart. He's like, you're good to go, and left. And just for him to look at my chart and say you're good to go was like $1,700 or something. Stupid. So over $40,000 in bills. Blue Cross Blue Shield refused to cover any of it because the hospital I went to was Scripps Hospital, which was the university hospital attached to UC San Diego. And they were a non-preferred provider, which is today they call it out of network. And so they covered the ambulance ride to the hospital that wouldn't be covered by my insurance. And so at 18, I was essentially bankrupt, owing over 40 grand in medical bills. I lost my baseball scholarship because I couldn't start school. And basically did tech work while I recovered, and started school again that spring at Olympic College here. And yeah, so basically I would have had college paid for had I not gotten that accident. No student loans, no nothing. Probably would have been an engineer at this point, you know, because life throws you curves. So I was intent on becoming an industrial engineer, and that's why I went to San Diego, because the, you know, baseball scholarship and industrial engineering program. So yeah, I ended up bouncing around community colleges. There was a little short-term memory problems for about, I don't know, 6 weeks after the accident, and then that sort of went away. My whatever jiggling happened in my brain seemed to fix itself. I still have a, like, you know, yeah, my life got turned upside down. Yeah, some asshole hit me, left me for dead, drove off, didn't care if I was alive, whatever. That bothers me. But what bothers me the most, and because I have no memory of doing it, is in my backpack. I went to the grocery store. I bought some cans of soup. I bought some salad. I bought a gallon of milk. I bought some breakfast cereal. And for some reason, I bought Starburst fruit gems. I fucking hate Starburst fruit gems. They're like Swedish fish, and I do not like Swedish fish. So why did I spend $2.99 on a bag of something I loathe? Like one of my least favorite candies in existence, and I don't know why. Was I buying it for someone else? Did somebody ask me to buy them for them? Because I never would have bought it for myself. They're disgusting. So what did I do? Why? Why did I betray myself? Why did pre-accident Houston buy that bag of Starburst fruit gems? I like Starburst. I love Starburst jelly beans. Starburst fruit gems, disgusting. And I'll never know. I'll never know that answer, because I have no memory of the grocery store at all. No memory of being on the bicycle at all. Matter of fact, the earliest memory I have of that day was that morning about, I don't know, 8 or 9 a.m. I was teaching my roommates how to surf. And the friend who found me on the porch, we came in from surfing, and she had made this really realistic Elvis's head in the sand. And I was like, wow, that's really good. That's my last memory for the entire day before, like, the brief glimpses of post-accident. And I don't know why Starburst fruit gems. Why? Why did I buy Starburst fruit gems, Monkey? I knew they were terrible. I knew I don't like them. I was... Poor K. Yeah. Well, such is life. Mysteries will never get solved. I'm sure people who are blackout drunks are used to having, like, parts of their day missing. I am not used to that. And so it really concerns me to this day that I don't know why I bought Starburst fruit gems. And, you know, if I hadn't gotten that accident, I hadn't become this weird, like, baseball nomad going from school to school, I never wound up in Hawaii, which would have introduced my roommate to my best friend. They wouldn't be married today. Like, you know, things happen. Life does what life does. So, you know, can't do anything else about that. Boris Raspy, 627. Hey, Houston. We waited 5 years. DFE unfollowed Ryan Cohn. What do you think GME will squeeze to if it's a controlled squeeze? Also, have you been to Aspen? I know going in the fall. Any info about it? I've been to Aspen a couple of times. I've never been for skiing. When I've gone through Aspen, it's been summertime. And I'm on my way to, like, go look for diamonds in Colorado or whatever. It's a wonderful town. Expensive as shit. The single greatest Goodwill you'll ever experience in your entire life. Go to the Aspen Goodwill, clean it out. Because whatever you buy is going to be spectacular. We're talking the richest zip code in America, where rich people buy a ski outfit, wear it once, donate it, and you get yourself a $1,000 Spider, Gore-Tex, Arc'teryx, Oakley, whatever. Amazing outfits. pieces of furniture, stereo systems. It is the single greatest goodwill in the history of Goodwills. Go to the Aspen Goodwill. That's the only thing you probably afford to do in Aspen. Everything else, way too expensive. So, yeah, do that. That's my recommendation for Aspen. And if you're rich, then there's other things you can do. But as long as you're poor, you can afford the Aspen Goodwill. You might be able to get something at the grocery store, maybe. Then beyond that, I don't know. There you go. There's Aspen for you. And sorry, your first part of the question. Did DFV unfollow Ryan? I did not see that. I don't think there is such thing as a controlled squeeze. I don't think squeezes can be controlled. At best, a squeeze can be mitigated by forcing people into some sort of settlement. Being like, okay, everyone gets $1,000 a share. Boom, that's it. And that's about all you can do. Because the whole reason something squeezes is because that they lost control. So I don't really think you can have a controlled squeeze unless you just shut off the buy button again, whatever. But at this point, if it gets above $80 to $100 a share, then they've lost control. They've lost the plot, and it'll just go from there to wherever it goes, unless they just turn everything off. So then it will be like it was in January, but it didn't stop anything from happening when they turned off the buy button in January 2021, January 28th, and they gave themselves a brief reprieve. But then it kept squeezing, going to 350, going to 350, going to 350, right? And the liabilities of these hedge funds have only increased since then. Like if they just let the sucker go and hit $1,000 a share, everyone would have sold out, been happy, been done, moved on from there, right? Yeah, a couple of hedge funds would have gone down, but they would have been able to manage it and pick the whole thing up. At this point now, the liabilities, I think, are so great and so big that if and when it does squeeze, it's going to be 10 to 100 times whatever it was in January 2021. So, yeah, I don't know what it can go to if and when it finally happens. I think the only way at this point it stops from happening is whenever we get price action, Ryan Cohen dilutes or does another bond offering. And he's the one keeping the squeeze from happening at this point. It had been like Vlad and Citadel, but now Ryan Cohen's the one keeping the squeezes from happening. We could have squeezed so strongly last year, and he stopped it. Right? We get good price action after earnings, he dilutes. So Ryan Cohen is the one keeping us from realizing price growth in our stock. Justice Stewart, do you think Cohen is waiting for the market collapse before pulling the trigger on BBY GME play? Hedge funds wouldn't have the collateral to handle the squeeze of the market collapse. I mean, maybe. I don't really see any reason to wait because you can trigger this thing at any time, sell into a squeeze when the price is insane, raise copious amounts of cash for your company, and when everything crashes, you'll have all the capital in the world to buy it all up. So I don't see why you would even wait to do that. Just do it. Just bam, right? You can trigger it yourself, so trigger it. Since before, Jimmy Y ETF coming soon, good or bad for Jimmy, seems like another way to short us. I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's a way to short everybody, and that's what they're doing. So, yeah. Esco, were the Starburst hard candy? No, they were gummies like Swedish Fish that taste awful like Swedish Fish. I don't understand why people like Swedish Fish. I think they're terrible. Give me a gummy bear, gummy worm, any of those things all day long. Haribo, Albisa, anything. I'll take anything over Swedish Fish. They're gross. Okay. I'm at 440. I gotta get going. Monkey has an appointment tomorrow. Hopefully it's our last vet appointment. And so we'll see you guys after that. I don't think it'll be too long. And yeah. So I'll see you guys at some point tomorrow. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. and I don't know, have a barbecue.